The rain stung his face like 1,000 tiny needles. But Elias stood unflinching on the rooftop, the city sprawling beneath him like a glittering betrayal. 5 years ago, this same city had chewed him up and spat him out, his lover's promises shattered, his family's greed sealing his fate. Now, at 27, he was back, a phoenix forged in fire, and the weight of his vengeance burned hotter than the love he'd once known. Elias Kane hadn't always been this man, sharp-edged, clad in a tailored suit worth more than his childhood home. Once, he'd been Eli, the soft-spoken dreamer with stars in his eyes, pouring his heart into Noah, the boy who'd sworn they'd conquer the world together. They'd met at 17 in a small-town diner in upstate New York, two misfits bound by whispered promises under starlit skies. Noah, with his tousled hair and reckless grin, had been Elias's everything, his first love, his safe harbor. They'd planned a future, college, a shared apartment, a life where they could love freely. But dreams, Elias learned, were fragile things. It was Noah's betrayal that broke him first. One humid summer night, Elias had waited at their usual spot by the lake, clutching a letter of acceptance to NYUA scholarship, their ticket out. Noah never showed. Instead, Elias found a note tucked under a rock. "I can't do this. I'm sorry." No explanation. No goodbye. Just 5 words that gutted him. Days later, Elias learned Noah had left town with a new boyfriend, a wealthy college kid who promised an easier life. The pain was a blade, twisting deeper when Elias's own family turned on him. His parents, devout and unyielding, had discovered his secret. "You're a disgrace," his father spat, his mother's silence louder than any scream. They didn't just disown him, they sold him out. For a measly $10,000. They handed him over to a shady rehabilitation program, a conversion camp cloaked as salvation. At 18, Elias was dragged away, his screams unheard, his heart shattered by the twin betrayals of the boy he loved and the family he trusted. The camp was a waking nightmare. Cold rooms, endless prayers, and therapists who saw his love as a sin to be burned away. But Elias was a survivor. He learned to play their game, to hide his fire until he could escape. 2 years later, he broke free, clawing his way to New York City with nothing but a backpack and a burning resolve. He'd make them pay every single one. In the city, Elias reinvented himself. He worked odd jobs, studied nights, and hustled his way into the tech world. By 25, he'd built Kane Tech, a cybersecurity empire that made millions. Now, standing on this rooftop, he was no longer the broken boy they'd discarded. He was a king, and this city would kneel. The rooftop door creaked open, and there he was, Noah. Older, leaner, but still the same piercing blue eyes that once held Elias's world. Noah froze, his leather jacket damp from the rain, his expression a mix of shock and guilt. "Eli," he whispered, voice trembling. "Don't call me that." Elias snapped, his voice ice. "Eli's dead. You killed him." Noah flinched, stepping closer. "I didn't. I never meant to. Save it." Elias's laugh was bitter, cutting through the rain. "You left me. My family sold me. And now, I'm here to ruin you all." Noah's eyes glistened, not from the rain, but from something deeper. "I was a coward. Okay. I was scared. And I ran. But I never stopped." Stop. Elias's voice cracked, betraying the hurt he'd buried. He turned away, gripping the railing, the city lights blurring below. He'd planned this moment for years, exposing Noah's new life, dismantling his family's legacy. But seeing Noah now, so close, so broken, stirred something he thought he'd killed: love. The rain fell harder, drenching them both. Noah stepped closer, his voice soft but desperate. I know I hurt you, but you don't know the whole story. My family, they threatened me. Eli. They said they'd hurt you if I stayed. Elias spun around, fury flaring. And you believed them. You left me to rot. I was 18. Noah shouted, his voice raw. I thought I was protecting you. The words hung between them, heavy as the storm. Elias wanted to scream, to shove Noah away, but his heart betrayed him, aching for the boy he'd once held. He stepped closer, their faces inches apart, rain mingling with the tears neither would admit to. You destroyed me, Elias whispered. And now, I'll destroy you. But Noah didn't back down. He reached out, his hand trembling, brushing Elias's cheek. Then do it. But I never stopped loving you. The touch burned, unraveling years of armor. Elias's plan as perfect revenge wavered. Could he destroy the one person who still held a piece of his soul? The city roared below, oblivious to the war raging on that rooftop, where love and vengeance collided with no clear victor. Elias pulled away, Noah's touch searing his skin like a brand. The rain blurred his vision, or maybe it was the storm in his heart. He'd spent years building walls, crafting a life where no one could hurt him again. But Noah's words, I never stopped loving you, threatened to tear it all down. Don't, Elias growled, stepping back, his voice unsteady. You don't get to say that now. He turned toward the city, its lights a cold reminder of the empire he'd built. Kane Tech wasn't just a company. It was his weapon. He'd already started his plan, leaking documents that exposed Noah's father, a corrupt lawyer who'd profited off the same conversion camp that had caged Elias. Next, he'd target Noah's new Lithia cushy job at a Manhattan firm, a fiancée who didn't deserve him. Elias had the power to ruin it all. So why did his chest ache? Noah stood his ground, rain plastering his hair to his forehead. You think I don't know what you're doing? I saw the leaks. My dad's panicking. His firm's crumbling. That's you, isn't it? Elias smirked, but it felt hollow. You always were smarter than you looked. Then why stop there? Noah's voice was sharp, challenging. Why not come for me next? You've got the money, the power. Finish it. Elias's jaw tightened. He'd imagined this moment, Noah begging. Broken, but now, faced with it, he felt no triumph. Only loss. You think I won't? I think you're still the Eli I loved, Noah said softly. The one who'd rather save someone than destroy them. The words hit like a punch. Elias turned, his eyes blazing. That boy's gone. You made sure of that. Noah stepped closer, undeterred. Then why haven't you done it yet? You could have ruined me months ago. But you're here, talking to me. Why? Elias didn't answer. He couldn't. Instead, he stormed past Noah, shoving the rooftop door open and descending into the sleek penthouse he now called home. Noah followed, uninvited but relentless, his boots echoing on the marble floor. The space was a stark contrast to their pasta's sterile fortress of glass and steel. No warmth. No trace of the boy who'd once dreamed of a simple life with Noah. "Nice place," Noah said, his voice dripping with irony. "Not exactly the apartment we planned." "Huh." "Get out," Elias snapped, pouring himself a whiskey, his hands shaking. He didn't want Noah here, in his sanctuary, reminding him of what could have been. Noah ignored him, wandering to the floor-to-ceiling windows. "You've done well, Eli. I always knew you would." "Stop calling me that." Elias slammed the glass down, whiskey sloshing. "You don't know me anymore." "Then tell me who you are." Noah spun around, his voice breaking. "Because the Elias I see is still fighting for something. Not revenge, something more." Elias laughed, cold and sharp. "You're delusional. I'm here to make you all pay. Starting with your father. Then your perfect little life." Noah's face fell, but he didn't retreat. "My father's a monster. I won't defend him. But my life, it's not what you think. I'm not happy, Elias. I haven't been since I left you." The confession hung in the air, raw and unyielding. Elias wanted to dismiss it, to call it a lie. But Noah's eyes, those damn blue eyes, held a truth he couldn't ignore. He crossed the room, stopping inches from Noah, his voice low. "You expect me to believe you? After everything?" "I don't expect anything," Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I just want you to know I'm sorry. And I'll spend my life making it up to you, if you'll let me." Elias's heart pounded, torn between rage and the pull of a love he'd never fully buried. He grabbed Noah's jacket, pulling him closer, their breaths mingling. "You don't get to waltz back in and fix this," he hissed. "You broke me. Then let me help put you back together," Noah pleaded, his hands gripping Elias's arms. For a moment, they stood there, locked in a silent battle, the past and present colliding. A knock at the door shattered the tension. Elias pulled away, his face hardening. It was Mia, his right hand at Kane Tech. With news, Noah's father had just been arrested, the leaks tying him to illegal deals beyond the camp. The plan was working. But as Elias watched Noah's face crumple, learning his father's fate, he felt no victory, only a hollow ache. "I didn't want this," Noah whispered, sinking onto the couch. "Not like this." Elias stood over him, torn. He could push forward, destroy Noah's career, his engagement, his everything. Or he could stop, let the past go, and risk his heart again. The choice loomed, as heavy as the city outside, and Elias knew the next move would define him forever. The penthouse was silent, save for the distant hum of the city below. Elias stood by the window, watching Noah's slumped figure on the couch, the weight of his choices crushing him. He'd won. His revenge was unfolding perfectly. Noah's father was behind bars, his family's name tarnished. One call to his contacts, and Noah's job, his fiancée, his entire life could be next. But victory tasted like ash. "Why didn't you fight for me?" Elias asked, his voice low, almost lost in the quiet. He didn't look at Noah, afraid of what he'd see. "Back then, why didn't you come back?" Noah lifted his head, his eyes red-rimmed. I tried. After I left, I called your house. Your parents said you were gone. I thought you'd moved on. Or worse. I didn't know about the camp until later. By then, I was too ashamed to face you. Elias's throat tightened. He'd imagined Noah living carefree, while he'd endured hell. But the truth was Messier, and it hurt more than he'd expected. You should have tried harder, he said, but the venom was gone. I know, Noah whispered. I've regretted it every day. Elias turned, meeting Noah's gaze. The boy he'd loved was still there, buried under years of guilt and pain. For the first time, Elias saw it wasn't just him who'd been broken. Noah had been running from his own demons, trapped by a family as cruel as Elias's own. He crossed the room, sitting beside Noah, close enough to feel the warmth of his body. I built all this, Elias said, gesturing to the penthouse, to prove I didn't need you. But every step, I saw your face. Every deal, every win, it was all to show you I survived. Noah's hand found his, tentative, like he expected Elias to pull away. You did more than survive. You're unstoppable. Elias laughed softly, a sound tinged with sorrow. Then why do I feel so empty? They sat in silence, hands clasped, the city a distant roar. Elias's plan still burned in his mind: destroy Noah's fiancée, leak the final documents, end it all. But another path flickered, faint but persistent: forgiveness. Not for Noah's sake, but for his own. To let go of the hate that had defined him for so long. I don't want to be this person, Elias admitted, his voice barely audible. This monster, consumed by revenge. But I don't know how to stop. Noah squeezed his hand. You already have. You're here, talking to me. That's not revenge. That's hope. Elias's eyes stung. He wanted to believe it. But trust was a fragile thing, and his was in pieces. Still, he leaned closer, their foreheads touching, breaths sinking. If I let you in again, he whispered, and you hurt me, I won't survive it. I won't, Noah vowed, his voice fierce. I swear, Elias, I'll spend my life proving it. The next morning, Elias made his choice. He called off the final leaks, sparing Noah's career. Instead, he redirected his resources to a new mission, dismantling the conversion camp network that had scarred them both. Cametech's influence opened doors: lawsuits, investigations, voices amplified. Elias and Noah worked side by side, not as lovers, not yet, but as partners in a fight bigger than themselves. Months later, they stood together at a press conference, announcing a foundation to support queer youth rejected by their families. Elias spoke, his voice steady, about surviving betrayal and finding purpose. Noah stood beside him, a quiet strength, their hands brushing in a private promise. The road to healing was long, fraught with old wounds and new fears. But as Elias looked at Noah, he saw not the boy who'd abandoned him, but the man who'd returned, ready to fight for their future. Revenge had fueled him, but love, messy, resilient, unbreakable, gave him a reason to live. In the end, Elias didn't need mercy. He needed meaning. And with Noah by his side, he found it. One painful, beautiful step at a time.